Right, let's all come round together as fans, hold hands and say it together. One more point. One more point. One more point. That is all we need. That is all we need as a football club to join the football elite. To play Real Madrid, to play Barcelona, to play Bayern Munich, and to be watched around the world as one of the biggest clubs in England, playing in the biggest competition in the world. There's lots to play for from both sides in this match. It's the Leicester match preview, Newcastle fans, so make sure you stick around. One more point. One more point. Sorry, I've continued saying it. Welcome back to Black White Banter anyway, Newcastle fans. If you are new around here, this is me. This is what I do. I talk about Newcastle on videos. I've got a social media channel across all platforms. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Make sure you get us on there and whack that little like button. I don't care whether you're already a subscriber or if... Well, of course I care about you. I love you if you're a subscriber. But if you're not already, whack that subscribe and give me a little likey loo. Goes a very, very long way and makes more people see this video. So this is it, Newcastle fans. This is it. Just one. Just one. Just 1 point. I said on my last video, do not care whether the ball bounces off Botman's ball sack in the 89th minute to scrap a 1-0 win. Or a 1-1 draw. Or a 2-2 draw. Or a 6-6 draw. I do not give a shit how it happens, what the performance is like. We just need a point. It's all we need. And my God, is it going to prove to be one crazy night. If anything is Newcastle, anything is more Newcastle, it is leaving it to our final home game where we're going to have an amazing lap of honour, celebrate this season, celebrate the players, and we can clinch Champions League football before that lap of honour in that stadium, before we say thank you to Amanda, to Merdad, to Eddie Howe, to Jacob Murphy's right foot, to Almiron's worldies, to Botman's beastie defending at the back, to the Joe Linton Hulk smashers we've seen all season, to Bruno's magic hat. All of them thank yous can be just made that bit sweeter at full time by us joining that football in the league. And I keep using that term and it's probably a little bit cringy, but it's true. You enter the Champions League, this could be the start of something under this project that we never expected to be here. And I'm not going to talk about what it means to get in the Champions League on this video. That's not what this video is. This is a Leicester match preview and I'm going to keep it to that. But what I'm trying to say before I delve into the tactics and where I think the game's going to go and be won and lost is the performance doesn't matter at this stage of the season. It doesn't. Yes, of course, it would be amazing to go out tomorrow night and smash Leicester 5-0 and really finish on song and then go to Chelsea next week in the sunshine down in London and finish with a hurrah and send Lampard out of that short-term contract crying. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't. All the hard work's been done. All we need is a single fucking point. So it's going to be big. And if you're watching this video, I've already had comments on my last video of people saying they wish they were in St James's Park. I wish everybody could be in St James's Park, no matter where you're watching from. I cannot wait to get in there. Of course, there's going to be a match vlog coming, so make sure you whack that. I'm going to be meeting up with some more friends from different locations tomorrow, so that'll be worth checking out. American friends, people from America. I'm hoping to meet someone who I met in the States. I'm making myself sound like a right social little weirdo. But yeah, fingers crossed on that one. So make sure you whack the subscribe to catch the match vlog. And it's a crazy game, this one, because not only are we celebrating potentially getting in the Champions League, which of course it looks likely. I'm not going to say it's a bank. Well, I am going to say it's a bank because I think we are going to get there. But at the other end, Leicester are desperately struggling. And the way the results have gone as I make this video for Leicester, you know, they've got 2 games now on the other teams and they're on 30. Everton, who are the furthest team out of the relegation zone, are on 33. Leicester can get a draw tomorrow, which would obviously be great for us because that'll get us Champions League football, and still be in with a chance going into the last game. Even if Leicester finish on level on points with Everton, if other teams around them lose, their goal difference is a little bit better. So Leicester aren't in the worst situation, But you look at the other games, and we've all been there. And I know there's some Newcastle fans who don't like Leicester. I seem to find that with every football club. Maybe the neutral teams. I don't think any Newcastle fan has an issue with Fulham or Bournemouth. But Leicester's one of them ones a lot of Newcastle fans have an issue with them. I don't personally. And it's not nice. It's not. We've been there. We've done it in Aston Villa. We've done it a couple of years ago when Sunderland relegated us without even kicking the ball, without us kicking the ball when they beat Everton. We've been there. It's not nice. And it's a big game at both ends. If Leicester can get as much as a point, which with St James's Park being such a fortress, is still a very good result for Leicester going into that final day, which promises to be juicy. So a point would be amazing for us. Not the end of the world for Leicester, but Leicester, I'm not going to go as far as saying they have no choice but to go for it. But I think as the game wears on, depending on what the score is in this match, Dean Smith tactically may look to chuck everything at it. But make no mistake about it, Newcastle fans, if we dissect this game from two perspectives of yes, Leicester may be playing a little bit differently because it's do or die for them. From a general perspective, from a football point of view, we should be winning this football match. Leicester have been shite all season. They've got a team that shouldn't be shite, and lots of people are saying Leicester shouldn't be relegated. Well, we've proved that's not the case. Look at the team that got relegated with Newcastle in 2009. Your Michael Owens, your Damien Duffs when he was kind of still at his peak. We had lots of players on big money back then. Kevin Nolan, you know, the list could go on from that squad, and we did. We went down and everyone was shocked. It was never going to happen in Newcastle, and Leicester aren't in that boat because they've been down in the Championship in the past, 8 years before they won that crazy Premier League title. But they've got a good team on paper, and that team hasn't performed. For whatever reason, it hasn't. Brendan Rodgers, who's a good manager, could not get a tune out of them. So it is sad to see what's happening over there, but generally speaking, we should be winning this football match. We've only lost 2 games at home, as I keep saying on every video. Leicester have shipped, I think it's 64 goals. That's pretty much double what we've shipped this season. They haven't been as bad at the other end as what some other teams have. I think they've scored about, I think it's 49 goals if I remember correctly, looking at the stats before this video. And they've got some good players. James Maddison, who we know will... It's an interesting one. Will Monday be an opportunity for James Maddison to see what he could join? I think Eddie Howe will go back after him. If you wanted him in January, why would that change? If anything, he's going to get him cheaper now. James Maddison will see a fantastic flag display. He'll see an intense crowd. He'll hopefully see Champions League celebrations at full time. But he's a good footballer. And he's a very creative footballer. And with our midfield injuries, which I'll touch on in a second, I'm a little bit concerned about some battles being won and lost in that midfield. So yeah, Leicester have a good team on paper. I'm a big fan of Barnes. We've been linked with him. I think because he's English, he is a promising footballer. I would have taken him over Anthony Gordon if I was given the choice. I know we've spent we probably could get Barnes for 45 million. I like how direct he is. I like how he likes to run at his man. He seems to have a decent eye for goal. I think he's a good player, and Trippier is going to have to be very careful against him. So Leicester aren't without the dangers. Tielemans hasn't put in much of a shift this season in midfield. But generally speaking, they've still got some good players. And Jamie Vardy, we all know what he can do. We all know what he can do. Don't forget, we've already played these at St James's Park this season in the Cup. And that was a good night for us, but Leicester missed some chances. I remember Jamie Vardy missed a couple that night. So they've been up here, they know what it's about. They were there for a big atmosphere in that Cup quarter-final when Dan Burn banged in that worldie. So we've been there, we've played these, very different circumstances this time round. Now, enough about the opposition, let's talk about us. As Eddie Howe likes to do, I like to talk about us. Defence is going to pick itself. I think that's fair to say. Now, midfield, we don't know who's fit with this one because Eddie Howe's done his press conference 3 days before the game. We have got no idea who is fit and who isn't. So I'm going to assume on this video that Joe Willock isn't, and that maybe Joe Linton is touch and go. Now for me, if Joe Linton is touch and go, because we need 1 point, stick an injection in him. And I know that sounds weird, but a lot of footballers get through certain games with the help of a bit of medicinal aid just to get them through that match. If Joe Linton can play 60 minutes with a pain number, whatever it takes, a horse tranquiliser in his foot, get him in. Because I tell you what, without Joe Linton, we are short. No Longstaff doing the dirty work in midfield. You've got James Maddison who likes to run between the lines. Tielemans I'm not as worried about, like I say. But generally speaking, we do need some covering there. Barnes will cut in. And I look at that midfield, so if there's no Longstaff, no Willock, no Joe Linton, Bruno has not been firing for us. He might have scored against Brighton on Thursday, but for me, he's not firing. He's a little bit off. It's just about getting him through to the end of the season now. So then you look a little bit further, you've got Elliot Anderson. Yes, he did a job on Thursday, but this is a scrappy game against Leicester. It's going to be a fight. Is Elliot Anderson up for it? Well, I like how he's a Geordie. I like how he's going to have a point to prove, but he is still raw. And when he played in earlier cup games in the season, I always said, Elliot Anderson started against Bournemouth in our first game back after the World Cup, if anyone remembers. And he didn't quite look at the races. He played him in a wide right role and he looked uncomfortable. It looked like he's more of a centre attack and mid. He just didn't look right. It didn't work. So what I would genuinely look to do after giving this some thought, if Bruno is fit, without Joe Linton, it's so difficult, isn't it? Because that leaves us so short on a natural central midfielder. I would probably look to go Murphy maybe in that first three, because one thing I think you're going to get with Murphy is running for days. So yes, he's going to be more naturally a wide player. He's going to have to cut in a little bit more than what he's used to. But Almiron and Murphy on that right-hand side, as two banks of three, could prove to be very, very successful for us on that right-hand side. But Murphy would have to be drilled. And I'm sure Eddie Howe has planned for whoever's injured. I don't like the thought of Fabian Schär in midfield. Eddie Howe doesn't like to change his defence. So I would be shocked if Fabian Schär changes position. I just don't think that's happening. Maybe I could be wrong. Eddie Howe has pulled a couple of surprises this season. So I would be looking to maybe bring in a Gordon or a Murphy in that three. On the other left-hand side of the three, again, it's difficult. I think Elliot Anderson you have to bring into the equation to make up that midfield. You can't play too many wingers in the first three and the second three, because then it just gets too attacking, as much as we like to be entertained. So I would probably maybe go Anderson, Bruno, of course, if Joe Linton is out, and then Murphy or Gordon in that first three, and then your Isak, Wilson, Almiron, Maximin in that equation in the final three. Because Isak and Wilson, I talked about it in my last video, I don't like Isak out there, but I think that's going to be what we see between now and the end of the season. If we secure Champions League football on Monday, Chelsea will be a totally different kettle of fish. I think Maximin will play, Gordon will play. It'll be a good opportunity for some players to get a run out. Maybe some players who are going to leave. Matt Ritchie, he's out for the season, isn't he, Matt Ritchie? So not necessarily him, but your Manquillos, players like that might get a look out at Chelsea, and that would be nice. But for me, Isak is so much more effective down the middle, and I like that impact substitute, but I think he'll go with them too. We've got enough in the tank to see this one over the line. If we can start the game like we did against Brighton, Leicester, who are nowhere near the footballing side of Brighton, will absolutely shit the pans. The pans? They won't shit the pans, they'll shit the pants. And then we'll grow into that. And Leicester's defence has been so shit this season, I think that's when they'd crumble. So a nice early positive start, get the crowd on your back, on your favour as your 12th man, which has been pivotal at St James's Park. We see a fast start, we start fast in the stands, and it goes from there, it transcends down. And Brighton couldn't recover from that. Leicester would crumble even further. I think Newcastle are going to win this game. I think Newcastle are going to get Champions League football. I think that I'm going to be in the best mood ever on my match vlog. And I think it's going to be a night that will live long in the memory. And I really, really hope it is, because my God, I can remember Newcastle playing in the Champions League when Bellamy scored in injury time away at Feyenoord. And it was amazing. And I was only young then. For me now to be looking at following Newcastle to Spain, Italy, Germany, France, you name it, in the top competition in the world is absolutely incredible. It almost gets me emotional thinking about it. So I think we're going to do it. I think Newcastle are going to steamroll this one. Why not? Why not be confident? I'm going to go for 3-0 Newcastle. Too much in the tank for this Leicester team, who will be nervous and also desperate in their style of play, I think. And we'll get it over the line. Every single one of them players knows what the objective is. Eddie Howe doesn't need a team talk. Get a point or better. Celebrate like fuck and get on the beers in the big market on Monday night. Simple as Newcastle. So come on, let's get this job done and then enjoy Chelsea as a holiday game next week. That's what we all want. 50,000 fans in that stadium tomorrow want it. Bring it on. Newcastle fans, let us know your predictions in the comments. If you've liked this video, whack that subscribe now. Please whack us a little thumbs up and make sure you check out my match vlog, which hopefully will be uploaded tomorrow night. One final point needed, Newcastle fans, before we hear the that was the worst. You probably didn't realise what that was. That was the Champions League anthem. See you on the next video, Newcastle fans. However, lads.